Welcome to Small Talk with RainKraft. I'm Subha, a leadership and executive coach.
And I'm Hasita. I'm a marketing strategist.
We're just two people who love to talk
and love to learn.
And this is us being curious about the world around us.
Join us.
Welcome back to Season 3 of Small Talk with RainKraft. A lot has changed for us this season and the world around us. And it will reflect across every single episode from now on. Can you feel it?
I kind of can.
Good. So we're kicking off Season 3 in the third year of the pandemic. That's right, third year. But we also want to talk about the new theme of Small Talk. What's that? Be curious, but not judgmental. And if you're wondering where that came from, well, I'm addicted to Ted Lasso on Apple TV. You know this quote already, but if not, here's a bit of a backstory. Now, Ted Lasso is a guy whom nothing and no one can bring down. But somehow, just somehow, his worth comes from within. And there's a pivotal scene where his ability to throw darts is assumed to be non-existent. But not only does he land a bullseye, this is what he has to say. You know, Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It really used to bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school and I saw this quote from Walt Whitman painted on the wall. And it said, "Be curious, not judgmental." I like that. So I get back in my car and I'm driving to work. And all of a sudden it hits me. All of them who used to be little me, not a single one of them was curious. They thought they had everything figured out. So they judged everything and they judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me and who I was had nothing to do with me. Because if they were curious, they would have asked questions. Questions like, "Have you played a lot of darts, Ted?" To which I would have answered, "Yes. Every Sunday afternoon at a sports bar with my father from age 10 to 16 when he passed away."
I am judgmental. Let's just say it. And I kind of like it because I feel like judgment evolved as a way for us to understand the world around us. Like, cloudy skies, it's probably going to rain. Sharp teeth, run away from them. Bright mushrooms, do not eat. In the social context, I feel like it does hold me back a little bit because I come to conclusions before I've had a chance to know more. But it also helps me make decisions faster. And that's the bit that I don't really understand about this quote. How do I be curious when the world is dependent on the speed of my judgment, right? Particularly if we see in the context of the pandemic, we've had to make a lot of quick decisions, knee-jerk decisions almost. If someone's sneezing in a closed room, we are going to head out of it. It doesn't matter whether they have COVID or they don't, but I'm leaving that room. Even something like a simple instinct. We don't ask them, "Hey, is it the allergies?" No, right? We just assume and we move on from there because the cost of not moving on is much higher. And I feel like that's also kind of true of the workplace. At a time when workplaces are changing so rapidly, we ourselves have let go of so many projects and so many projects have also let go of us, let's be honest. I feel like that faster decision making has helped the world transition faster. So how do we continue to be curious, and rather, where is the time to be curious anymore?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think, and I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, that I was definitely a lot more judgmental maybe in my 20s. Through college and a little later, definitely quick did something in a certain way, there was a right or wrong. It was a much more black and white view of people and their actions and their behaviors. And I think the way curiosity has shaped that over the years, and it's made me a lot more tolerant before I jump to these judgments about people. There's judgments about people and their actions, and then there's judgment and decision making, which you're talking about, right? So giving myself that 30 seconds to even say, "Hey, what could be their context? Why did they just say what they said? Or why did they do what they just did? I think has served me better. And honestly, a lot of our decisions are based on quick judgment. And you're right, it's important. But when we're talking about being judgmental, it's a slightly deeper and larger outlook of how we're letting that person's action or behavior impact our, in a way, future interactions with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of does. However, what I'm still missing, I think, is the nuance of what you're trying to say. What exactly is the difference between using judgment as a tool in my toolbox versus just being a judgmental person in real life? Like, how do we draw the line between the two, and how do I get more curious, at least probably starting with the easier circumstances?
So I think another way to maybe help you view curiosity is a bit of preparation, getting into the mindset of who you're going to meet or interact with perhaps, or the situation that you're going to be putting yourself into, right? We do it a lot today when we hear a new name, especially in the professional context. We look them up, we see who they are, what's their background, how do I intersect with them, and is there something that could be useful to kickstart a conversation? So that kind of curiosity, that kind of homework and preparation is one way to be curious. And that's important because it gives you a lot of insight into who you're dealing with. It lets you mentally prepare for the conversation that you may have. So, for example, if I know that the person that I am pitching to or I'm going to have a conversation with has had 2-3 startups, a couple of them have worked, a couple of them have failed, then they are probably going to react to what I have to offer differently, right? Than someone who, I don't know, has maybe been in a very stereotypical corporate job for the last 10 or 15 years, right? And handled only 1 or 2 specific roles. So that piece of information serves me better and helps me better prepare for the pitch. So that's, in a way, a very simple, straightforward way of using curiosity.
That makes sense. In fact, we had a pitching conversation happen yesterday. And one of the questions that person asked towards the end was, will we continue to interact with you? Which in a way is kind of representative of probably their past experiences in a way with, working with external consultants. And I do see that as a valuable piece of information coming my way. While in the short term, it is a certain amount of time commitment at my end. It is also showing me that the market has had other experiences before and is therefore trying to do things differently and hold people accountable in a different manner. It would have been easy for me to say, no, this person will do the subsequent interactions or, you will hear from this person. But I think it's like reassurance, right? Like when a child goes to school and they ask us, will you pick me up in the evening? It's not that they're asking you to pick up. They're asking for reassurance that you'll kind of be there when they come back, right? And that's only possible when we take a certain amount of time out to consider the nature of that ask.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that's the other aspect of curiosity, of catching the trends in our actions and in the behaviors of those we interact with, right? Looking for patterns and saying, what does it mean to me? For example, between us, if our last 3-4 pitches for new business haven't succeeded, right? What was the trend? Why has it failed? What do we need to do differently without being judgmental about the folks we pitch to? Because that's an easy out, right?
Yeah.
To say that, hey, they weren't ready for this, or they're looking for someone who's a lot cheaper, or whatever. We could find n number of excuses to say that it wasn't me, it was them. But if there's a cycle and if there's a pattern, and I am curious enough to say, hey, what's going on here? What's the input telling me? And then be willing to learn from that. It could be extremely useful for what comes next.
Yeah, so it's a bit actually like Ted making that statement about himself and choosing to find his worth on the inside, worth or lack thereof, and whatever gaps might kind of arise from that situation. I think rather than being very circumstantial about it and saying, okay, I'm not accepted in these circles, versus why am I being seen the way I'm being seen? So that makes sense, yeah. But do you really, and again, coming back to the fact that we have been using judgment as a weapon, as a tool for so long, do you think flipping it is possible at all? Do you think we can make a habit out of curiosity?
I think definitely. I think curiosity may feel like too big a word. I think that's one of the problems with curiosity, that it seems like needs somebody who's got a lot of time and energy to be extremely inquisitive about something and everything that they do, trying to find a lesson or a learning in everything that happens to them. So the word is very loaded and heavy. Maybe if we just think about it as, okay, before I start something or do something, what are the 3 questions that I want to solve for, right? What do I want to get answered out of this? And maybe that's a good starting point.
Yeah. So from the pitching standpoint, I'm thinking what you mentioned about researching the person that I'm going to be talking to, and probably researching my pitch as well. Like, have I just kind of done it on the fly, or have I really taken the time to make it as specific to the other person as possible? And if I were hearing it as an external person, would it still make sense to me? And probably then the third thing is who else is going to be involved in this decision? Who is the passive decision maker that we are not seeing in the room? And how am I kind of also appealing to that person and making sure that I'm sharing that value across the table, both with visible and invisible people? Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting way to look at a pitch, because I usually just log in 5 minutes before the meeting, and that's the honest truth.
Yeah, I think there's an ocean of difference between saying, okay, I'm not going to be judgmental, I'm going to go into this with a clean, empty slate, and going unprepared because of that, right?
Yeah.
You're not walking in saying, oh, this guy, anyway, whatever I say to him or her, they're going to ask for something different, or they're going to ask for something cheaper, faster, etc. Versus saying, hey, why are they having this conversation with me? There's something here, right? There's a reason why they feel that I could perhaps fulfill the need that they have. And how can I address that in a way that gives them comfort, gives them the information that they need, and helps them make a decision about moving forward with the engagement?
Yeah. That's actually a very powerful perspective to take in general, particularly in high stakes meetings like these, right? So Subha, I have another question for you, because you do bring in a lot of corporate experience as well, and you have worked with large teams before. So do you find that the ability to bring curiosity to the table has personally helped you, or have you seen that in action during your corporate life? Would you call that a leadership attribute for the leaders of today?
That's a great question. And I think my immediate answer is a whole body yes. Because if I think about moments at work where I derived immense satisfaction, just simple satisfaction at a job well done, or a problem solved, or a task completed to the satisfaction of myself, the organization, the team. It's been moments when it has some way been linked to curiosity, and to be able to take a step back and say, hey, what's happening right now? What is the pattern? What is the last 5 similar situations? What are they telling me? So if I think back to, let's say, when I was at Citi running a process shop, lot of daily transactions for the team, and hence a lot of client feedback too. Because honestly, some things go right and some things go terribly wrong, right?
True.
And so if you're willing to kind of there's the firefighting aspect, you're fixing what went wrong. But if you're then willing to look at the client feedback and say, hey, what are they saying? Or why are they acting the way they are? Or why did this happen? It really gives you, and when you take the time to do that, it gives you perspective about what could be the larger issue, or what's the actual battle that you're fighting, right? If, for example, something as simple as you find that one member of your team is extremely overloaded, getting a lot of client calls, getting a lot of kind of tasks to be done, etc. And my immediate judgment could have been that, hey, she doesn't know how to manage her time, looks like she's always overloaded, she's always looking harassed. But the pattern, and this is something that I experienced, the pattern was that the other member in her team was someone the client didn't trust, or clients didn't trust that the job would get done. So a larger share of calls and emails were coming into this person. And so she was harassed and she was overloaded because she was doing a damn good job. Right? So it was really, the quick judgment would have been that she doesn't know how to manage her time, or she needs to get more efficient or more productive. But in a way, it really wasn't about her, but it was about those around her not being good enough and clients reacting to that and clients altering their behavior to get the output they need.
Makes sense. So insights over jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, and definitely easy to say and easy to banter about words like curiosity and judgment, but it does make a difference when you start to take a bit of a step back and look for patterns and trends.
Makes sense. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the many, many virtual guests that you will be inviting into this room? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this season because I think both of us have also gone a little bit out of our own comfort zone to reach out to new and interesting people in our networks and to really bring out their stories to inspire and challenge each of us, right? There's something to be learned from everyone. There's that little curiosity pitch again, but there's something to be learned from everyone. And I'm really looking forward to just having fun conversations that we can listen to again and again and take some inspiration from.
That sounds like a wonderful plan. And of course, we are always ready for more small talk.
Always. Nice chatting with you. Catch you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening till the very end. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you'd like to leave us a note about the episode, please do write in at connect@raincraft.in or drop us a voice message at speakpipe.com/raincraft. All the details about our guest today and how you can find us on social media are available in the show notes. So please do have a read and catch you next time.